Hello, everybody. This is Fernando for the latest Urban Legends of the week. I thought I would mix one in here while I'm wrapping up some of the other series here. So, this particular random suggestion, it actually has to do with an urban legend that you and I have pretty much all heard of before. We've probably even seen parodies of it on either TV or on films. And it has to do with the notion of stealing someone's very important body part and then reselling them in the black market. But the unfortunate thing is that this urban legend is actually very much true. It's something that has occurred, and there's a market associated with it, if you can believe it. Like there's an actual trading market, a very active one tied to it. And what I'm talking about is the urban legend known as the Kidney Heist. So if you've ever seen, like, let's say, Jay and Silent Bob, that comes to mind. For example, there's a prominent scene where Jay is discussing about something and he goes off on a tandem and then talks about waking up in a bathtub of ice, realizing that his kidneys have been stolen. Well, basically, that's it. That's this urban legend, the kidney heist. It's the idea that there is something that can occur to either a man or a woman. They're out on some kind of trip, whether it's business or for personal reasons, and lo and behold, they fall into the trap or they fall into the wrong place at the wrong time. Somebody ends up either forcibly taking them or drugging them altogether. They wake up a couple of hours later not knowing what had happened, and then they realize the huge shock that has occurred to them because they realize that all of a sudden something is right next to, like, there's a sharp stabbing pain on either one or both sides, and then they see that their kidneys are 100% gone. Either one kidney is gone, or for the true unfortunate, both kidneys are gone as well. So this particular urban legend still permeates throughout several parts of the world, and no doubt any future, I guess, films or TV shows, they'll still be able to showcase that information there too. If you're wondering like where this comes from, who knows when this first started? It probably, as with anything, started the minute that money was transferred for the purchasing and the sale and the gathering of body parts. So whenever you have something involving money, it's always the root of pretty much any starting trend. Now, as far as this stuff actually happening in real life, there was a very prominent story that came out in the Washington Post. I've included the link for it here below, back in 2008, so it's very recent. And it chronicles a man by the name of Mohammed Salim. He has become, I guess, the forefront example of this urban legend in fact being 100% true. So here's what happens. You have to go to, again, 2008, to the New Delhi area. New Delhi is a location that is rife with, I guess you could call it, a lot of activity, but still a lot of poor regions there in India. And so because of it, a lot of work is being done, but a lot of people are getting paid very, very poorly. And so from that, you have the need of people needing to make more money, and that's where this stuff in terms of the black market trade comes about, because there's the hard work that people can do when it comes to making money, and then there's the easier illegal work that people can do, and that's what some have taken as a trade within the black market. They have found it to be a very lucrative thing there in New Delhi to take unsuspecting victims and then create a black market of their body parts, in particular, that being the kidneys. And that's what happened to this poor guy, Muhammad Salim. At that time, he was 33. You're looking at a picture of him here. He stated that this is what happened, and his cause, or his case, essentially broke open a good investigation into a wide network of this black market. He stated the following, which is a very common thing once the investigation began. What his example was basically happened to who knows how many other, probably hundreds of people as well there in New Delhi. He said that he was, I guess, attracted to coming to New Delhi because of a prospect of some kind of job. How he heard about this job, who knows? but it promised the idea of an extra dollar in his daily wage. I know that doesn't sound like much, but it seemed like to him and to people in that area that was a huge bonus. So he came over, he went to a specific designated spot, what was considered a blue and white bungalow. I guess he was directed there by his so-called new employers, but for whatever reason, they made him wait 2 days just right there waiting for work to come. And then the way he described it was, while he was there waiting for 2 days, on that second day, all of a sudden, two men, I guess they were considered masked men, as he called them, so completely in disguise, masked men, they forcibly barged into that blue and white bungalow, and then they used some kind of anesthesia to knock him out. So he said, after that point, he woke up several hours later, and then to his shock, he started to feel a very sharp pain on his right side. And then looking around his environment, he realized that he was waking up in some kind of hospital ward and that those men were there as well. They told him, and these are what he said, their exact words were, they told him, "We have removed your kidney and you better not breathe a word about it." And so he realized, of course, his life changed thereafter, and he was a victim of this heist, this kidney heist. Now, again, his case broke open, I guess, the investigation. It was discovered that there was a lot of this stuff happening. There were, in fact, 5 suspects that it seemed to have be setting up a ring of sorts when it came to this organ trafficking, and it seemed to just focus only on kidneys. And here's why. Apparently, people that were needing these kidneys were rich people within other countries, even Canada, Greece, Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates. All these places had people that, for whatever reason, they were needing kidneys themselves. They were rich people. Maybe their kidneys were going out. Maybe they had abused them. Who knows? But they needed them. They had the money, and they were willing to make sure that they would get them any way possible. And so these people, the ones that were there in New Delhi, like I mentioned earlier, that were looking for the fast way to make money, they would charge a huge fee for it. According to the article, they would charge somewhere around the lines of $37,500 in American dollars for each kidney, and the rich people would pay it. And what they would do is they would attract these poor people, these people looking for work, for the prospect of work. They would attract them to that location, in that case the bungalow, and then the rest is history. Interestingly though, the Washington Post article says that these people that had their kidneys stolen, they were still paid. Apparently they were paid $1,270 for the kidney. So obviously that's still not good because the kidney was forcibly removed. And my understanding is when you have a kidney removed, it's a life-changing event. Essentially, you have one kidney left, and it's basically doing the work of two, and it ends up ending that life of that kidney even quicker than it should be. And there's a lot of other stuff, like you can't exercise as much and you can't do a lot of hard work as much, stuff along those lines. But still, interestingly enough, they got paid for it. But that's, I guess, the only silver lining in this horrible case. And obviously those people, they probably, if they had a choice, they wouldn't have wanted it to happen, but they did. It happened in their case, and they became unfortunate victims. But yeah, check out the article when you have a chance, the WashingtonPost.com article that I have below. You'll be able to see and hear more information about this urban legend of sorts that is in fact a reality. And it even mentions some of the people, some of the key people within this ring, and how they came about doing it, and where the statuses of these cases are to this day, at least according to the timeline of the Washington Post. I believe that article was somewhere back in 2009 or so. So anyways, what do you guys think of this urban legend, the kidney heist? Again, fashioned in film and fashioned on TV, but in real life, unfortunately, it is a tragic circumstance for some people out there in this world. If anyone has any more information about this, any more examples, maybe even here in the U.S. about that happening, please post those comments below. It'd be interesting to hear. So, all right, everybody. Thanks again as always. Take care.